wisdom, and we're just going to have a wonderful, wonderful time. So I will not belay the time, and I thank you for joining us, whether you're watching the broadcast live or whether you will view it later. We thank you for being with us on tonight. So our very first guest is Reverend Frida, who is originally from Kansas City, Missouri, and she now resides in California. She is a motivational speaker or ordained minister, empowerment trainer, author, go to hell artist, and an activist. We welcome you, Reverend Frida. Thank you for joining us on tonight.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Wonderful. Good. Our next presenter tonight, our next guest is Ivana Foster. She is from Augusta, Georgia, and she is a passionate life coach, author, speaker, and educator. We would like to welcome Ivana.
Thank you. I appreciate you. So glad to be here.
Good. And last but not least, our final guest for tonight is Patrice Arnold. She is originally from Harlem, New York, and now resides in Modesto, California. She is enjoying a second career as a life coach and a mindset counselor. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, ladies, for being here with us tonight. So, as I was preparing, and I've been thinking about tonight all day, and as I was thinking about it, my big mama came to me as I was looking through the questions that I was going to be talking to you about, and she was like, "Are you going to tell them about me?" And I was like, "Oh my goodness, I hadn't thought about it." So I would like to introduce to you all my big mama, who is Ruth Cohen. She is the mother of 12 children, and she had is two of them still living, but she was a phenomenal woman, and I gained a lot of life lessons from her, and she was just instrumental in my life. And my other grandmother, which is my paternal grandmother, which is Sally Campbell, she was a pastor. She built and founded 2 churches from the ground back during the time when women wasn't supposed to preach. And she pastored both of those churches for well over 60 years. So I pay homage and honor both of my grandmothers because they were very instrumental. That's my grandmother right there, Ruth Cohen, with her 10 children. 2 more were to come. And so when you look at these memories, it just brings it all home to you. So I thank you all for joining us tonight. And so we're going to get into it, and we're going to learn about the influential women who are in your life. So I will start with Ivana. Can you tell me who were some influential women in your family that helped to shape who you are today?
I absolutely can. The person that immediately comes to my mind, and I her to this very day, is my grandmother, my mother's mother, Grandma Brown, okay? And Miss Marion Eagle Brown, the best. Who loved me, just loved me fully, wholly. It was 3 of us, 3 girls, and just loved us. We'd get in so much trouble with her. We'd get in so much trouble, but you can find us on a Saturday, on a Sunday, going to consignment or antiquing, which is where my love comes from, that passion right there.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, she would lay a beautiful table out, make the best baklava. Okay, the freshest rolls, which I never learned to make, but my goodness. And just instilled the whole idea of finding good gourmet coffee to drink. And I'm serious about that.
Good gourmet coffee.
Good gourmet coffee. So And so this woman right here just taught value. She taught what is valuable. She shared what is worthy of my work. She shared what is worthy of my work. Who I am. I love that. The other one, of course, is my mama. Talked a little bit about it before coming on backstage, but my mama just I don't hold my tongue. I just don't hold my tongue. That's one of the things that she talked as far as being finding the voice and speaking the voice, finding your passion, following your passion. The idea of just being me, just being and loving me.
So she loved you just for who you were and supported you in that.
Just 100% for who I am. And so say that I'm 100% grateful for that. But the lesson in that is the whole unconditional piece and bestowing that on someone. And I'm making sure I don't get ahead of myself, but that's something that I just have to push. It comes in life coaching. It comes through as an educator. It comes through as a Black woman. It just comes, and so that's not anything that I can't even hold it. Because sometimes you just you say something and you really don't want to say it, but it just slip out, and then you automatically say, that was my mom, that wasn't me.
That's right. That's right.
And so I'm grateful. I'm grateful for that. Those are the most important individuals that played that part in my life. This very day.
Good.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Reverend Frida, I'm sure as you look back over your life that there were some women who were very instrumental and impacted your life. Could you share with us who they are?
Absolutely. I am who I am today because of my grandmother. Her name is Winnie Sitward. And even today, when I go out to speak, I call the ancestors, and when I call, she comes. Because I am the reason for her existence at that particular time. The impact that she had on my life was unmeasurable. My kindness, my community work, all of that I got from being with her. Back in the day, they didn't call it community work, but she was the type of woman that there was no one that she ever looked down on. Like, everybody was acceptable. She loved everybody all the way until when she died. The people that were like people that would hang out on the corners and they would drink. They actually dressed up to carry her casket. That's how much respect, love.
She loved people.
She taught me about being approachable, like never, I don't care who you are, I don't care, what you've accomplished. If you're not approachable, if people can't touch you and feel you, then it means nothing. And she taught me about being approachable. She taught me about, she created a safe space. A safe space where, like you say, on Saturdays, my mother would threaten us and say, okay, if you don't do this, and if you don't do that, you won't get to go to grandma's house. And we called her Momo. And
Momo!
We would break that house down, honey. Like, oh no, honey. Because we knew once we got to Momo's house, the love, the nurturing, the kindness, the sweetness of who she was. She just drenched us with that. My mother was the only child. And so we were her only grandbaby. And let me tell you, honey, she spared nothing for us. So my being approachable, acceptable, loving, that unconditional love, or love is for every, I got all of that from my grandma. Without her, I really don't think I would even be doing the work that I'm doing.
Now that's powerful.
It's very powerful, and she saved us a lot because my mother was a different kind of, like, listen, there's a quote that I say, and I said that blood equals relative and love equals family.
That's
sometimes
good.
you have people that are just relatives.
Yes.
And then you have people that are relatives and family.
Family.
So my grandmother was a relative and family. My
Mhm.
mother, on the other hand, that's a whole different story. And we're talking about celebrating, so I'm not going to go there. But I loved her.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, indeed. Now, let me ask you this. With your daughter,
Yes.
how are you, what attributes are you teaching or showing her to pass that legacy down?
Oh my God. You know, listen, it's not so much what we teach our kids by talking, but I believe it's the environment that we create for them. And just, you know, like a simple thing. When I walk my dog twice a day. And of course, everybody knows me in the neighborhood. Here comes Miss Frida walking her dog, because that's how my grandmother was, right? And so I think about 2 or 3 months ago, I was over at my daughter's house, and she has a dog, and she was walking her dog, and it was the same. They were like, oh my goodness, there's Miss Tiffany, and she was talking to her. I was like, oh my God, that's my grandma, because my grandma, there was no stranger.
No stranger.
And my daughter is a professor, but she is so approachable. She is so open, and she's so kind. Now, you know, me being a lesbian, in order for on the campus, in order for them to have, for the gays to have any type of club, any type of activity, they have to have a professor that will oversee it, right?
Yeah.
And my daughter's heterosexual, and honey, she is an ally. She brings me there. She said, oh no, you need to meet my mom, the lesbian.
Wonderful.
She'll let you know you can make it. Don't let your sexuality stop you. You know, and all of that is the love and the warmth and the acceptance that my grandmother accepted me, and I was able to pass all of that down to her. And she is like my number one ally. She's my number one fan. You know, it's just that unconditional celebrating, because my grandmother didn't only just love me, but she celebrated who I was.
Yes.
She was
And
happy.
I think that's so important.
Yes.
That is so important that you celebrate each other, and that they teach you how to do it. They model it for you. That's right. It helps to build your self-worth and your self-esteem.
All of that, girl. I would not, I'm telling you, I would not be who I am without her. She was like, you know, my mother used to say, you're too many things, but she wasn't saying it in a positive way. But my grandmother said, you're that and more, girl. Just do it. And that's why if anybody follows me, one day I'm painting, the next day I'm this. Because I embrace all of who I am. That's my grandmother's love, because she gave me that support. Let me tell you this story, and I'll pass it on. When I came up pregnant, and I was an unwed mother, and of course the shame and all of that went along with that, because you know we came from Pentecostal church, and if you didn't do this and that, whatever. And so my mom had a very difficult time in wrapping her head around and being supportive and accepting me. And so my mom took me to the when I became in labor, she took me to the hospital, and she just kind of left me there. And while I was in labor, and I was afraid, and I didn't know, what's happening to my body. I didn't know anything. And the nurse kept coming in saying, your grandmother, she keeps calling.
Oh.
And even though I was scared, I knew that my grandmother was checking on me the best way she could, because she couldn't drive. And they kept coming and said, you're going to be okay. And your grandmother has called again, and we've given her the update, and all is well. That's my grandmother.
My goodness. Reverend Frida, you didn't need to make me cry now.
I know.
I can't take stories like that. Oh my goodness. Now, whenever I get to become a grandmother, I think I want to be called Momo.
Exactly.
That is beautiful.
Yes.
Absolutely beautiful. Ooh, all right, moving on. As we grow up watching and listening and learning from these women in our lives, we gain much wisdom and life lessons along the way. So, Patrice, what were some wisdom gems that you learned from your mom or your grandmother in your life?
Well, thank you, first of all, for inviting me to the panel and being in the company of these beautiful, wise women who truly get and understand the power of not what we say, but how we walk.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So for me, again, my grandmother was instrumental. And maybe that's the theme, that we can't always give everything as mothers. Well, but sometimes it takes that little distance and time to really help each generation to truly understand and walk a little bit in life to
Mm-hmm.
understand the zeitgeist of the times and how it impacts each generation, and the sense of truly understanding the power of love and the power of dedication.
Yes.
And for me, that was my grandmother also. And her wisdom really was one of patience. And I'm not the most patient person. I'm always trying to grow there and speak slower and listen longer. But it's her voice in the back of my head. It's that voice that I aspire to, much as both Ivana and Reverend Frida talked about. But she really spoke about the things you don't see, the character that's underneath, not what you see on the outside. Yeah, they're cute, but are they cute on the inside?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, she talk a good game,
Yeah.
but look at how she walks.
Mhm.
And it took me a while, because I thought, and it struck me as I was kind of going through my little notes and writing my little notes, that it took me a while to truly learn that, because I thought that meant look for the potential. So, I had to kiss a few frogs, a few frogettes or whatever. Because I thought I was supposed to be patient and look at their potential, but they have to want it as much as you want it for them, more than. I stayed in some jobs too long, thinking that, this, I'm supposed to endure. I'm supposed to, stay and wait for what they said they were the opportunities they said they were going to provide for me. And it took a while to understand how to see and accept what is, and know that in what is, my character would be developed so that I could accept what is. And only in that do you really give yourself and other people, jobs, opportunities, space to show their true colors.
Yes.
But the growth and the lesson is in walking in truth. And that really was my grandmother, that she was a simple person, a basic person, cooked, well. But if you want to know the truth, you came to my grandmother. And she never rushed. She says, come on and sit down and tell me what's going on. And it could be a man of 50. It could be a teenager, 20. It could be her son or grandson 20 years later, and she'd just say, well, come on and sit down and tell me what's going on. And it really was that sense of patience and giving anyone the opportunity almost to answer your own question, because generally she said, you already know the answer. It's already in you, because you can't recognize the problem till you know there is a problem. Sometimes we don't want to hear the answer, but the answer's in you, she would say. Tell me what you think the answer is. And she would allow me and anyone that I know had ever come to her, and she would dismiss people and say, I just need a few minutes with this beautiful person here. She sometimes didn't even remember their name. This beautiful person here, I just need a minute. And that meant just make yourself comfortable somewhere else, and she gave that person whatever she had. And sometimes it was just somebody cared enough to listen, and she never claimed to have the answer. She truly believed the answer was within you, and that you had enough character to know that you will recognize the direction to go, and even in your mistakes, your lessons lie. And that's
Oh,
really what helped me to, I guess, begin to accept who I was,
mhm,
to walk in my mistakes as valuable lessons,
mhm,
to get up out of uncomfortable places because
mhm.
I thought I should know, could know. I've been to this class and that class, and they told me I should know. But she says sometimes it just takes time. And she would
Exactly.
just give me the time and say, just walk in it, just walk in it. You'll find the answer. But we don't
Mhm.
always want to be in those uncomfortable, those
Comfortable places.
those spots, those ugly spots. And she just say, you gotta
Mhm.
walk through the muck and mire sometimes, but it's okay. That's why they make boots. And you'll be okay. It'll, you take a shower, but it'll get clear. And I
Mhm.
love that. I love that she had an eighth grade education, but she had the wisdom of actually the second person that I've noted that, two of them were teachers, other than first my grandmother and my mother, who, of course, I love because she endured enough to get me here, if nothing else. She
Yes.
could, but the two teachers, one second grade teacher, and then my first college professor, black woman, Dr. Thelma Dare in Harlem. And she talked slow and she had a little stutter, and she just would just be patient, and she helped me understand the imposter syndrome. She helped me
Mm.
believe that you're supposed to be here, that you're not
Mhm.
faking it. They didn't yet, because I came through affirmative action. They made you
Yes.
think they were doing you a favor and just giving you a seat. And
Mm.
sometimes I would act up, or I didn't do everything I should do, because what
Mhm.
did it mean? They were just giving me a spot. I didn't really deserve it. And she helped me to appreciate they
Right.
didn't make a spot. God made the spot.
Right.
Yes. You were
Right.
supposed to be there.
I'm supposed to be here in this moment in
Mhm.
time.
Right.
You
Mhm.
don't have to know what you're going to do later. She
Right.
just said, do the very best in that moment.
Right. Mm-hmm.
In that moment.
Mm-hmm.
In
Not
that
Yeah.
moment.
tomorrow. Not
Mhm.
how you're going to get to graduate. Not how am I going to afford to pay the tuition. Just in this
In
moment.
this moment.
Live
Mm-hmm.
fully in this moment.
Mhm.
And that was a
And that's
piece
the
that
wisdom.
resonated
Mm-hmm.
with me and my grandmother and her. And that's how I kind of recognized truth, in that sense that I said in the beginning, that she said, look for what's inside.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And I look for that and those universal truths, the things that don't change. I don't care what generation, whatever, if you clear it all away, if they speak truth and walk truth, if they live honest, give honestly, then those are the universal things you look for. And that's the
Yes.
wisdom that, and the people that influenced me, and that first, second grade white Jewish teacher that believed that I had something going on. I don't know what it was. I was bused into a Jewish school district, public transportation, get on that bus, second grade, third grade.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
and travel to another school, and be the one little chocolate dot in the cookie.
Yeah.
And she just said, oh no, you're fine, you got it. I'd never heard that kind of affirmation before. And
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
it always was just enough to get you to the next thing, just enough to keep me from giving up, just enough to strive for a little more.
Mhm.
Until I got all the way to college and I met Dr. Adair. So those are the gifts, and that resonating, you're enough, you're good enough, you live in this moment, do the best in this moment. Nobody can ask more than that of you. And so
Yes.
those are those universal things that resonate for me always. And what I try to share in coaching and counseling is just, what do you know? Let me give you enough to stand in it, and I'm here to keep you from falling or help you get up. But
Yes.
you're gonna be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Because
Good.
people don't come to counseling till they know they need counseling.
Mm-hmm.
So they
That's
okay,
right.
you okay just because you willing to make that step.
Mm-hmm.
They
Mhm.
don't come to the preacher and the pastor and say what's going on unless they care.
Mm-hmm.
So you
right.
have the building blocks already. You can't push people fast and they're ready to go. But the fact they come to Ivana, the fact they come to Pastor or Priscilla or Annie and ask, that's the potential.
That's right.
That's all.
So as we are talking about as Pat said, about the educators who impacted her when she was in school, these life lessons that you've learned, Ivana, over time from the women that were in your life, do you ever find yourself sharing any of that knowledge and wisdom with your students? And how does that look?
And
do they grasp it?
They do. It just comes up. I every moment when I'm in a classroom, it's a teachable moment. And as a life coach and then as an educator, there is no difference, if you will. Okay, I can go in and still have those conversations, and so I do with my young ladies and also with my gentlemen. I do. As far as moving forward, as far as not finding a voice, I'll tell parents now, to this day, as far as in my classroom, I get the young ladies that have the voice, that talk back, that everybody on this panel has been slapped, backhand slap for. Everybody on this panel, okay? They do the talk back here. And so I can handle that in the classroom, and I share this with parents. I don't make a phone call just, to talk about a child that is talking back, if you will. Because I don't want her to lose her voice. Her voice. And so we have to take it down a little bit, if you will, and add some respect and the different, and take down an overtone, if you will. So I'm literally in there doing a little creation, okay, on a future girl child, woman child, moving through. That's so. And then everything that is going on today, how dare I do that? Expectation that we keep going on. I'm supposed to do that. I'm placed in there, as we just said, I'm placed in this moment. So of course they're going to get Georgia Studies or American government. Okay? Yes. Want to understand my voice. As a black male or as a black female, okay, a Latino male, okay. And ally, white, Caucasian male ally. Seriously, of course they're going to get this. It's expected. That's what's supposed to happen because it was given to me.
That's right.
It was given to me, and so if I retard, if I stop it, hey, then I stop the next lesson, and that can't happen. Not on my watch.
That's right. Not on your watch, because I think we're called to impact future generations.
We are.
And a lot of people, they may not have a relationship with a mother, or a grandmother may have passed on, but because the aunties, we cannot forget the aunties who played pivotal roles in our lives as well. And so that voice, to give them an opportunity to speak and to be able to actualize their feelings and emotions, because in this day and time, it can be oppressive, and to be silenced.
Right. And honor their no. That was one of the lessons I learned, to honor their no. A child, a teenager's no, they have that right. The certain boundaries for her or for him. They have that right. Yeah.
They have that right.
Yeah. And
that's wonderful. All right, Reverend Frida. Oftentimes in families, we see these women in our lives as strong Black women. But did you ever witness them being transparent or allowing their vulnerability to show within the family? And if so, what did that look like?
Absolutely not, girl. I bought into that. I bought into that strong Black woman syndrome 150%, honey. Oh my God. Goodness. I can't fall. If I fall, who's going to be there? I must endure. I must continue. I am the superwoman. I am your superwoman. And because my mother never shared. My mother was so into wanting you to respect her. And she
Uh-huh.
wanted to be right at any cost.
Mm-hmm.
So, so she never apologized. She never said that, I don't know. I think one of my greatest strengths is when I'm able, first of all, to realize that I don't know everything and I'm not supposed to know everything. And it's
That's
okay
right.
not to know everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I passed that down to my daughter. I was like, girl, I don't know. I wouldn't just, I wouldn't just make things up to look important, or, my mother was just so into this, you're going to respect me. You're going to respect me. And she didn't recognize that respect comes with being honest. Respect comes with, like, if you don't know, that you're brave enough and you're courageous enough to say, you know what, I don't know, So it took me a minute to be okay with being vulnerable. It took me a minute to be okay to say, to recognize, first of all, that we did not come here with a manual.
True. That's
on
right.
how to live life.
That's right.
And to recognize that we came here, for me, we came here to experiment and experience this thing called life.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care if you pray to the east, the west, the north. I don't care if you burn candles till your house burns down. At the end of the day, life will show up.
Yes,
life
it will.
has your address better than UPS, Federal Express, and now Amazon.
That's
right?
right.
It shows up.
That's
And
right.
so what I learned with life showing up for me when things didn't work out maybe the way that I felt with my expectations on them, so here's my disappointment. But what I recognized was that life shows up, and it shows up, it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. But what you get is the opportunity to show up to life. So I was able to say life shows up, so now I get to see who I authentically am. I get to see, have I actually grown in this particular area?
Yes.
Can I turn the other cheek? Because some of us can't turn the other cheek. I couldn't march with Martin Luther King. I'm more of a Malcolm X girl because I'm not turning the other cheek, right? So I got to see what my capability was and to be honest with myself without judgment and accept it. This is who I am right now. Doesn't mean that this is who I'm going to be always. Hopefully I'm going to evolve and keep growing. So I can be vulnerable. I can be mentally, emotionally naked, because that Black strong woman syndrome, it takes you down. And what I discovered was that I was so emotionally, mentally, and spiritually exhausted.
Yes.
And what I've discovered as Black women is that we are exhausted.
Yes.
And we're so tired. And from that very busy, tired intersection in our lives, we make major decisions and major choices. And that's why sometimes we continue to have the same experiences over and over and over again.
That's true.
And so I had to learn that. On my own, that no, I don't have to know everything. I don't have to be up at 3:00 in the morning, tossing and turning, trying to figure things out. I don't know. And when you can be honest and say, I don't know, that to me is when you leave the opportunity for the universe, for God, for however you identify. Because like she said, Patricia said, the answer is always there. You got to get out of the way. But if you think you know everything, because, God said this is free will. I'm not going to force nothing on you. But when you can get out of the way. And so now I live in the I don't know and love it. I love it there. I don't know. And when I'm open to I don't know, I promise you the answer, the insight, my intuition, whatever you want, it shows up. So I love that I'm vulnerable. I love, because you can't be approachable. You can't be touchable. You can't create safe spaces if you're not in touch with yourself. To be vulnerable is to be in touch with myself and to be okay and not judge myself, but to accept myself for who I am. So I had to learn that one, as the old folks would say, the hard way.
The hard way. That's right. That's right. Patrice, was vulnerability and transparency modeled for you, or is it something that you had to learn along the way?
I truly struggled against vulnerability. I thought I was supposed to know the answers. I thought if I worked hard enough, I'd know the answers. If I read enough books, I'd know the answer. And therefore, I wouldn't have to be vulnerable. There had to be a way around being vulnerable. I had been vulnerable as a child, and that was painful. So it, I still fight with being vulnerable in love, in my relationship. I have to still speak to my soul and make time to recognize what I've done well today, what I want to do better tomorrow. As talking to the child in me that still suffers from this sense of working hard, work harder. You gotta work hard and you'll get better. Working 2-3 jobs and thinking the worth comes somewhere in there. That the love comes from being more, giving more, whatever, all of those myths that truly, when you grow up with injury, this sense of the things that kept you protected don't work as an adult, but the habits, the wiring is still there. And so I still struggle with, I got to cut that wire. I need to reroute this and understand that does not work for a grown-ass woman. So it's still work, but it's a different kind of work. And being retired now at this point in my life, but still a caregiver, still in a loving relationship, having to step forward and say, yes, I will marry Jerry. And, something I didn't think would happen. So I really didn't think I had to answer that question because I didn't think I would get to this point where someone would say, yeah, I want to marry you. I want to be with you. It's still this work, and I'm happy to be in this work versus fighting this work, this different kind of work. And, I always joke, Jerry says, don't you want to go back to work? Hell to the no. Sorry, Pastor. No, the work right now is about hearing my heart and listening to my own internal voice, understanding how to live what I know in my head intellectually, giving myself nurturing, getting into every room of my house each day, which was something my grandmother taught me. She said, even if you just go in and open a window, you got to take care of your mind, your body, your soul, and you got to give something back. And you can't do it all every day, but even if you just go in and open the window and come on back out, or look and say, oh, I did well with that yesterday, I got to come back to this again. But just acknowledge that you have space in your heart, and I have to do that for myself each day, and it's work.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Because I'm a giver, I'm learning to receive, and that's a different kind of work. And it requires different tools. And I have to be humble enough and give myself room to say, I don't know, as Rev said, I don't know how to accept well. I don't know how to give what it is I want to receive. I have to give myself permission, almost the way speaking to myself as my grandmother spoke to me.
Yes.
These are life lessons, and it's okay. And I have to be, and I'm continuing to reinforce my own personal lessons of, as long as there's breath, there's hope. That
Yes.
Learning how to say what it is I feel and honoring my own voice. speaking to myself in the way I would speak to my students and the people that I work with that come to me. I give them more love oftentimes than I have to give to myself. And it's
Mhm.
learning this reciprocity. It's learning that, this walk, as Rev said, and as Ivana said, these are lessons that they're hard learned. They're hard to
Mhm.
rewire within ourselves, and giving myself this gift back, and
Yes.
always hearing that sense of I'm worth it. Sit down with myself, the way my grandmother would sit down with me, um, and sandwiching, the hard things in between the soft things. And I think I shared with Annie and Priscilla at the end of the night, I say, what are two things I did well today, and what's one thing I want to do better tomorrow? And limit that to the criticism of the day, and know that the gift is in the fact that I get the chance to do it again tomorrow better. So for me, though, those are the walk-in lessons for the day. And
Mhm.
that sense of not having to know all the answers, and gracing myself, and being humble enough to be okay with not knowing and having all
Yes.
the answers.
That's
So
good.
that's
That's good.
the task, and it's no little thing.
That's right. Well, ladies, I wanted to ask you also, as we've talked about these pivotal women in our lives, how do you celebrate them? How do you have something that did they teach you a special dish that you cook maybe at the holidays? Is there a photo album or a special quilt that you have that you when you look at it you think of them and it brings them closer to you? Ivana?
It would have to go back to when I go consignment or antiquing, or I see something. My grandmother was born in 1928, so I'm a sucker for any of the jewelry, any of that moment that I see when I see
Mhm.
classic TV. When I
Mhm.
love that, I'm a sucker for all that. That is my passion. The other piece is that she left me a face, and so that's something that I can reach out and touch. You know,
Mhm.
she left me her heart, and so that's something that I can that
Yes.
yeah. I went
Yes.
about. I tell y'all what, when my grandmother passed, I was so angry with her. I got to be more careful.
Mhm.
That
Mm,
was in high school then. Actually getting ready, actually in high school. I was just angry.
angry.
I just wanted her to see me, and it wasn't
Yes.
so, as you move through young woman or woman life, or move through with the understanding that she is seeing me. She sees me.
Mm-hmm.
She knows me, you know.
That's right.
She knows me. I know she's one of the ones that I know that for a fact. Not while every path you will experience in your story, not every path needs to be a part. You really can change the path.
Yes.
Really can
That's true.
change that path.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just some of the things that just stick with me when I think about her.
When you
Absolutely.
think about her. And that brings, when you talked about being angry when they left,
Mhm.
as I said that my grandmother, Sally, she, I remember getting off the school bus and running down the street and she'd be standing there in the door. And
Mhm.
so when she would pastor,
Mhm.
she would go and she always had all these books and Bibles in her bed. And
Mhm.
I would jump in bed and just listen to her read to me,
Mhm.
listen to her share wisdom
Mhm.
with me. And I was angry.
That was.
I was hurt, because our relationship, when I came out, it kind of went left, and I always wanted her to know that I was the same me.
Mhm.
I've just chosen to work in another vineyard,
Mhm. Mhm.
but everything that you instilled
Mhm.
in me is still there.
Right.
And so when she passed, I never thought she would know that. But
Mhm.
she came to me.
Mhm.
She came to me in my dream,
Mhm.
and I knew I knew that now on the other side, what she couldn't see in me and when she was living, oh, she sees it now. And she knows, I always used to say that I'm still the same old G. I'm still your same old girl. And it was a witness to me because my sister came back to me and she said, Grandmama came to me and she said, help Priscilla in any way she needs. And that was around our very first conference.
Wow.
When we started the We're One conference. And I knew then that was confirmation that she knows the work that I do. And bringing people into relationship with the God that they know. And so that just, that keeps me going.
Yes.
And I talk to her all the time. And I just told Annie the other day, I talked to her and I said, Grandmama, endow me with your spirit, because she loved me. And she truly ministered from a pure place. But it wasn't in her time to see. But it's in my time to see. And I am called to help people reconcile who they are with the God of their understanding. And so I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for that. Oh my goodness, this has just been so good to me. So, our timekeeper, Annie, she's letting me know where we are with our time, because I could just keep sharing and sharing. But in these last couple of moments, I want to ask you that if you had any words of advice to young women or to women who are hoping to one day be mothers, as it relates to being a mother and taking care of themselves. Because I know sometimes when we look back at our moms and our grandmothers, and I even knew my great-grandma, Grandma Edie, we didn't see them do a lot of self-care. Sometimes they worked in the fields, they worked themselves to the bone. So what words of wisdom would you share with the young mother or hoping to be a young mother woman today? And we will start with Reverend Frida.
Wow. Okay. My words of wisdom that I think I would share is that, most of us are caretakers, but it's important to know why we are caretakers, because it's so difficult for us to take care. Like, we are just so conditioned to be caretakers. Those of us who are in this field, whether it's a coach, whether it's ministry, whether it's community, there is a reason why you have gravitated to this particular field. That's important that you're able to identify that for yourself. A lot of times we caretake because that's how we value ourselves. That's how we measure our value. We were not necessarily taught that you are enough, just period, just you. There's nothing you need to do. Your authentic being of who you are is enough. But we come from that environment that, come on, put that on my plate. There's, I got some space over here, multitask. And so for me, it's important to women, and especially to our younger generation, to always be mindful, be aware, your awareness of why you are choosing to do what it is that you're doing. Because I don't care what you give on the outside, if you have not made peace with yourself within, I don't care what degree you get, I don't care what you accomplish, I don't care what houses, I don't care any of that. I don't care if you have the perfect relationship. None of that can give you the fulfillment and the peace and the joy that only comes from making peace from within. So I always say, it's okay, this is what I say, it's okay to be driven, but you got to know what's driving you. And most of us good. By disappointment, by pain, by despair, trying to prove something. So it's okay to be driven. It's okay to accomplish things. It's okay to have these amazing degrees, but you always got to know what's driving me. Because if you don't know what's driving you, you won't even appreciate all that you've accomplished.
Yes.
That's my advice to you.
Thank you. Patrice?
I think I would share the gift that my mother gave as a recovered alcoholic of 25 years. And that's a part of the serenity prayer, to accept what is, to really, for me, that really grounds me. It connects me to her, number one. It grounds me in the present. It centers me in what's important and connects me. It focuses and informs me about what is in my control and what is not in my control. And it's like this pyramid that has the point that says, what am I responsible for in this moment? What do I think I'm trying to control? As Rev said, what's driving me? Why am I doing this? Am I looking for someone to see me, or am I doing this out of the heart-centered place within me? Is it making me avoid dealing with something in me, or is it to fulfill me? And they're little quick questions, but these things inform what gives us purpose. So it's really just finding that place and helping young people, whether it's my own children or those that come to us in the relative form, of make sure you're doing things for the right reasons.
Yes.
That it's coming from a genuine place.
Yes.
And that it's truly about what you know, not what you think, not what you believe, but is it what you know? And if you don't know it, don't try to advise. Don't try and direct someone else's life unless you're directing your own.
That's good.
So it's really this sense of walk in your own truth, live and understand how to be patient with yourself. And if you do that, you'll give room and space for everyone else to be patient with themselves.
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you, Patrice. Ivana, do you have anything you'd like to share?
Absolutely. My motto for my slogan or my logo or my statement for my coaching company, business services: love your life, live your dreams on this day.
On this day.
Your life, your goals, your dreams. No one else. Listen to you.
That's a full-time job.
Reverend Frida, keep it. Listen to you. Listen to you. Listen to you.
That's right. That's good. Before we go, I would like to ask any of you, do you have any special projects or speaking engagements that's coming up that you would like to share? Any awards?
Okay. For me, I speak at Inspire Community Center every second Sunday. So if you're not doing anything on the second Sunday, you can go on Facebook and find Inspire Spiritual Community, and you send them your email, and then they will send you out the link to it. So that's every second Sunday. Also, I'm an artist now. What can I say? So, all these pieces behind me. So if you're ever interested in any of my art, which comes from my own life experiences, my pain, my joy, my peace, please, look me up, www.reverendfrida.com. And also, when you go to my website, if you want to buy my book called Go to Hell, don't even play, honey. For those girls who can't say it, let me say it for you.
Yeah.
But it is a book that will inspire you. It's a book that talks about your greatest insight, your greatest pain can be your greatest insight.
Yes.
So find me on Facebook and Instagram. I'm the hardest working woman, I think, in the social networking, honey. Because do I work, Ivana?
That's good. Wonderful. Anybody else?
A little later on, 2024, one of my babies is coming out. My book. I started it after a most horrible relationship ended, but it's the 3-year break coming. The 3-year break.
Okay.
Becoming again, and it's about becoming again. It's living, loving, and laughing after narcissistic abuse. Okay.
Ooh, girl, that's a good one.
That's gonna be powerful.
Yeah. So if I just all that's gonna end, so I'm just coming to phase. I wanted to push it so fast afterwards, but as I talked about it, everything has the moment and a place, and so
Yes.
experiences and slowing down and emotion and emotionless sometimes.
Yes.
Right.
True.
Yes.
And so please look for that.
Wonderful. Great. Thank you. Patrice, anything you'd like to share?
I would love to ask for prayer. We have just finished caregiving for Jerry's uncle who passed at 94. And I continue to be the primary caregiver for my sister who has autism. Just to help us, we're ready now to we're actually living with my daughter in Modesto, California, and she was kind enough to allow us to be grounded here while we cared for Jerry's uncle in San Francisco. So now we're ready to find our next home. And and that's always for me, moving is turmoil, and it's not. It's one of those top 10 stressors in life. So we have to now narrow down where we want to be, and she works virtually, and now I'm privileged to be retired. So it's if you can live anywhere, where would you live? And so these are real questions, and whose desires come to fore, and so I need prayer and welcome it, and clarity, and wisdom to know where how do you walk into that next phase when you're given this opportunity. So right now that's what I need to do, and finish up some new certifications and things, so that when I get where I'm meant to be, hopefully I can bless someone else through coaching and counseling. And hopefully I see you guys at the next conference, the last conference. So we step into their next destiny.
Ivana says she thinks that we need to check with the people.
Right. Don't be like Brady. You can retire and unretire.
Exactly.
You're
many times
held
as
to
you want.
nothing. That's right. So say what you want, but we're going to tell you what we need.
Exactly.
Voice. I think we need the people's voice on this.
I know, and I really hate that I missed the one that I was supposed to be at, and now that's why you just can't miss stuff, because you be thinking it's gonna be forever, and then when she said it was the last, I was like, dang.
Oh my goodness. So we know that there is something else coming. There is something else being birthed, and
we'll be there. I'll be there.
Wonderful. Well, ladies, oh my goodness, you all have made this night so special.
Thank you to both of you guys.
I was so nervous. My first time doing it, and I was pacing the floor all day, but your energy and the love, I really felt it, and you put me at ease. And so I thank you. I thank you for sharing it with our listeners. And it's just wonderful when we can come together, and this virtual world lets us, just bring people in all across the country. So I thank you for giving of your time tonight to celebrate February 1st, the first day of Black History Month. And
thank
so,
you.
Tomorrow night will be our second night, and we will be right back here at 8:00 with the topic, our ancestors' wildest dreams, and we have another special panel for that night. With our future ahead of us and our ancestors beside us, there is nothing we can't do. Thank you all, and have a good night.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Annie and Priscilla.
Love you.
Love you.